What is going on, everyone? I think the Houston Texan offense is one wide receiver away from becoming one of, if not the best passing attacks in the NFL next year. Your wide receiving core already consists of two stars. Nico Collins, his first year with a franchise quarterback, 1,297 yards, 8 touchdowns, and Tank Dell, before he ended his season due to injury, 709 yards, 7 touchdowns. That was in 11 games. At one point, Tank Dell felt like the wide receiver number one for the Houston Texans. And if he has a full season, we're talking about 1,000+ yards and a double-digit touchdown rookie season. Then you have the X factor at quarterback, the franchise, the offensive rookie of the year, C.J. Stroud. So we will be looking at this free agent wide receiver class and see who is the missing piece for this offense that can take us to new heights. New heights being our first ever AFC championship, our first ever Super Bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Ruben Calvillo. I drop daily Houston Texans content, so make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And this episode was brought to you by my friends at Underdog Fantasy. Use my promo code, download the app, 713HOU for a first-time bonus deposit up to $100. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching today's episode. Now, the first wide receiver we are going to be talking about, Calvin Ridley from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, 2023 was his first action in 2 years. Do not forget, suspended last year for the season due to sports gambling, and in 2021 walked away from the game due to personal reasons, only appeared in 5. So when you see him in 2023 go for 76 receptions, 1,016 yards, 8 touchdowns, it's crazy when you think about it. That's why when you look at some of the inconsistencies he had, some of the drop balls he had, it makes sense because he hadn't played football in the last 2 years. Once Calvin Ridley gets another offseason under his belt, I fully believe he will turn back to the wide receiver he was in 2020. 90 receptions, 1,374 yards, 9 touchdowns. It's absolutely insane. And just imagine a wide receiver core of Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and Calvin Ridley eating up the middle. Here's what PFF has to say. Ridley's contract situation is a true one-of-one. He returned to play in 2023 after missing all of 22 while serving a suspension for sports gambling, and had stepped away from football before the 2021 campaign was over, but was a top wide receiver in 2020. There were drop issues in 23 as Ridley returned to full speed, but he still proved capable of taking over a game while breaking off a series of explosive receptions. Equally fascinating are the conditions of Ridley's trade to Jacksonville, where the pick the Jaguars will send to the Atlanta Falcons escalates to a second rounder if the two parties agree to an extension. This is why I believe he will be playing for another team this year. His contract is projected at 3 years, $51 million, $30 million guaranteed, and during those 3 years annually, $17 million. Now, I am not offering him that contract. I am letting him know that we are trying to win championships and the money has to make right for Calvin Ridley. However, I would not mind them at all on this Houston Texans team. Him wearing number 0, catching touchdowns from C.J. Stroud. Would love that. Let me know what you guys think. The second wide receiver we are going to be talking about, Tyler Boyd, lifelong Cincinnati Bengal. If he decides to go somewhere else, it will be the second team in his NFL career. 30 years old. His stats on the year, 67 receptions for 667 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think at this point in his career, Tyler Boyd is a number 3 wide receiver. He has been playing that role the past couple of years in Cincinnati behind Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So I have no doubt he could fit into the wide receiver 3 role here behind Nico Collins and Tank Dell. This is what PFF has to say about Tyler Boyd. It will be fascinating to see if and how Cincinnati attempts to keep the elite trio of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd together in 2024 and beyond. But Boyd could be the odd man out looking for a third contract after playing out the term of his 4-year extension signed in 2020. Boyd is a big slot receiver with solid blocking chops in the running game. He rarely ever drops a target and does well to sit down in soft spots of zones on key passing downs. However, Boyd posted several career low marks in 2023, and with so many big financial decisions facing Cincinnati, the Bengals may not be willing to offer him as much as other teams looking to upgrade their unit over the middle. Now, Tyler Boyd's projected contract is 2 years, $17.5 million, $10.75 million guaranteed, and $8.7 million a year during those 2 seasons. I would not mind this type of contract I'd offer Tyler Boyd, and I think he might have some juice left in him. Whenever CJ Stroud is your quarterback, I have no doubt you could flourish and have numbers that you've never had before, like we've seen with Noah Brown. Hey, Nico Collins' first year with CJ Stroud, 7 yards shy of 1,300. But you guys let me know what y'all would think about Tyler Boyd potentially being a Houston Texan. Now, the third wide receiver we are going to be talking about is Curtis Samuel from the Washington Commanders. And I like Curtis Samuel a lot. If we do get him on the Houston Texans, I think he'll be one of the players that we say, wow, look at the season he's having. Look at the contract we signed him for. He is playing fantastic. His stats on the year: 62 receptions for 613 yards, 4 touchdowns. Last year in 22, 64 receptions, 656 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was first with the Carolina Panthers, then signed with the Commanders in 2021. He will be looking for his third team in his NFL career. And you can also use him as a running back as well. Last year, 38 rushing attempts for 187 yards, 1 touchdown. All the way back in 2020, 41 rushing attempts for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. PFF says that Samuel was an efficient target in Eric Bieniemy's Washington offense that spread the ball around more than any team in the NFL. Hauling in just shy of 73% of passes thrown his way with just 4 drops on 85 targets in 2023. Samuel was used as a ball carrier in 23 like he was in 22 and previous seasons dating back to his Ohio State days. His Swiss Army knife skill set shows up with good change of direction in space and start-stop ability that is still above average at this stage of his career. 27 years old, about to be 28. They have his contract projected at a 2-year, $18 million total deal, $11.5 million guaranteed, and making $9 million during those 2 years. I would offer that to Curtis Samuel. Obviously, if the money works right, you could come here to the H, but I think this will be a nice veteran in the wide receiver room, but a veteran who could produce, right? It's different when you have a leader that's actually balling out on the field instead of a leader that is on the sideline and not really doing anything. I like Curtis Samuel. I think he can have a pretty good season with CJ Stroud as his quarterback. As we all know, the only thing it comes down to it is money. Ladies and gentlemen, these were my 3 wide receivers that the Houston Texans should target in free agency. Let me know what you think. As always, go Houston. You guys have a very blessed day.